Chapter 1. I am not a huge fan of this one, honestly. When I first played this game and experienced this chapter, my opinion was it's alright. It didn't really give me amazed or anything. I think Toby Fox just sucks at making tutorial levels. Ruins in Undertale were also the most boring part of that game. I actually think there's kind of a parallel between Undertale and this chapter specifically, because both games begin with you falling down, then you go through a few sections and at the end you meet a king that was teased and mentioned to you previously by a lot of other characters, and then at the end you get a chance to go back and talk to all the characters you spared. Honestly, this whole chapter just feels like Diet Undertale, like we have Undertale at home. The gameplay is better than Undertale, it's much shorter than that whole game, but that makes sense. I do find it interesting because Undertale's first level was boring, right? But what kept me engaged enough to slog through the ruins was a cool thing that happened at the very beginning, which is Flowey betraying you and trying to kill you. That was the moment in Undertale that instantly intrigued me, just enough to slog through the ruins. I kind of had a similar vibe with Deltarune chapter 1 because of the character creator at the beginning. The fact that this whole sequence only exists for your vessel to be discarded also intrigued me in a similar way to Flowey's betrayal. Also, I loved Undertale already, so I trusted that Deltarune wouldn't disappoint me. And for the record, I don't believe this vessel is ever going to show up. Like, the whole point of this scene is to showcase that your choices don't matter. We're never seeing it again. I think chapter 1 is the weakest of them all, but I still enjoyed it a lot. The humor was alright, but it wasn't the most hilarious. It was a little disappointing to find out that your choices really don't matter at all, so there weren't any different paths to take, like in Undertale. It's an introduction, so we only get a surface level understanding of the lore. Xavier was a cool secret to find though, and the things he says are cryptic enough to get me interested. I feel like the reason I don't view this chapter as highly as a lot of other people is because I'm not blinded by nostalgia. Because when I first played this chapter, chapter 2 was already out, so I didn't get to experience the original survey program. I also didn't know about the ARG or anything. B tier seems fair in my opinion, I think. Quick note before I get to chapter 2, if you want to see my first experience with both Undertale and Deltarune, I recommend checking out these two videos. These are compilations of the best moments from both games and my first unspoiled reactions to those moments. I spent so much time and effort editing this and no one fucking watched it, so like I would appreciate it if someone did. Also, if you want to see my reactions to chapter 5, I live streamed it and the VODs are all available in the live section on my channel. They have timestamps, so you can skip around to what interests you the most if you don't want to watch the whole thing. Anyway, back to the video. Chapter 2. S tier. To this day, it's still my absolute favorite chapter of this whole game. This is when I truly got into it and fell in love with it. Queen is the most hilarious character in the whole game. I think this is the funniest this game has ever been, and there's also a really good balance between humor and the more serious stuff. We get a lot more lore too. The characters all get a lot of development. Spamton is probably the most intriguing character that got introduced this chapter. We get to know Elle and Birdie in the Dark World. They have their own magic and their own attacks. We get to have a different party member than just Susie and Garzey, finally. And also, this is the beginning of an alternate route that's hidden and fucked up. I just love it. I think Spamton Neo is the most interesting secret boss simply because of his dialogue alone. The way he's introduced just before you get to fight him is just amazing. I'm gonna summon unspeakable horrors beyond comprehension. Yeah, I think I summoned unspeakable horrors beyond comprehension. Hoye Kungandero, do I feel good? Here I am, Chris. Big, bigger and better than ever. This power is freedom. I won't have to be just a puppet anymore, or so I thought. What are these strings? Why am I not big enough? It's still dark, so dark. Chris. That's right, you. I need you to be big with me. Very, very big. So big we will stand up tall and see past the dark. Stand up with our heads in the clouds and look into heaven. I just need that little soul you have. Spamton's dialogue in the Weird Root specifically is my favorite piece of dialogue from the whole entire game. You think making frozen chicken with your side chick is gonna let you drink up that sweet freedom sauce? Well, you're fucking right, but don't blame me when you're crying in a broken home wishing you let your old pal Spamton kill you. I love this piece of dialogue so goddamn much. Spamton is not even threatening you. He's explaining that dying to him is a better alternative for you than continuing the Weird Root. And he's so right. He's telling you that you're going to regret it. A lot of people wonder why Spamton sold you the phone ring in the first place, like, why does he want you to do the Weird Root? Personally, I think that Spamton literally only just wanted to turn into Spamton Neo and take over the mansion by any means necessary. Your jackass stunts in the Weird Root just make it easier for him. I mean, he clearly didn't want you to proceed beyond freezing the bird. Why else would he be a boss encounter at the end? Speaking of which, the fact that this boss fight is mandatory in the Weird Root specifically is just so awesome. I just wish the conveniently placed pre-fountain refreshments didn't spoil to the player that there's a battle incoming. This should be there regardless of the route, just to make this boss fight more surprising. The only part of this chapter that wasn't so good was the cyber field. There wasn't really much to it, that part was kinda boring, but I still think, as a whole, this chapter is just phenomenal. It's the best this game has ever been in my opinion. Chapter 3. I have mixed feelings for this chapter because I see what they were going for, and there are things about it that I love, but also things that I don't. This chapter is wildly different from the rest, and I will say something controversial. I did not like Tena's boards that much. I found them to be kind of a slog to get through. The minigames afterwards were more interesting though. I do understand why Tena's boards were boring though, and in a way I think that's kinda genius. Tena's boards are just modified versions of the original minigames that are hidden and only accessible if you get a specific rank in the boards previously. Which sucks actually. I hate how this game lies to you by saying that your score doesn't matter and you should just focus on having fun, but only after I screw up and get a rank that's too low because I suck at the game, I'm suddenly locked out of the whole secret route to get the Shadow Mantle. I understand that it's a secret, but in my opinion, secrets should be hidden but always accessible, instead of being locked away if you're simply not skilled enough. This is bullshit, I don't like this. I had to replay through the whole chapter after nearly completing it because I missed all of it. And even if I could buy the S rank from this one dude, I didn't have enough money for it at the time. Speaking of these secret minigames, they are the most exciting thing about this whole chapter. The implications of these scenes, the way it teaches the player how to do the Weird Root, the fact that you get a sword that you use to destroy the walls of the environment to go out of bounds. I love it. I love all of it. It's cryptic as shit, it's creepy, it's awesome. I do have to say though, getting the egg in this chapter is just bullshit. In all the other chapters it's easy. I literally got the egg in chapter 5 on my first playthrough, but I still haven't gotten one from chapter 3. It's a bunch of convoluted steps that are almost as insane as the secret FNAF 3 minigames. The ending of this chapter is just phenomenal. The fact that the knight finally shows up, kills Tena, and then we get a difficult battle that we're meant to lose only for Undyne to appear, then get herself kidnapped by the knight and taken to the shelter. Holy fucking shit! This was the most hype series of events in this whole entire game. This cliffhanger was awesome. It was fucking awesome. 8 tier. I preferred this chapter over 1, but it's not as good as 2 in my opinion, even though the ending was amazing. Chapter 4. I love this chapter a lot. I hate its puzzles though. The beginning section of Chris pulling out their soul out of their body in Noel's house and us having to vent is just amazing, and I love it. I love how this scene is also integrated into the Weird Root. The fact that in the Weird Root we come out of this vent in Noel's room and then the soul gets teleported inside once we get prompted with a choice is just a genius design choice. It's a lore heavy chapter, so there isn't nearly as much humor this time around, which is fine. I love the reveals, I love the moments, I love the whole thing with the prophecy, I love Susie's character arc. I especially love the moment where Shit Squad gets surrounded by darkness and the knight throws an unavoidable attacks, because it's a cool moment that showcases how powerful the soul is, as well as how much the shit squad needs each other. No, I'm not going to call them Fun Gang, I hate that name. Why is that the name that the whole community collectively decided to call them anyway? I picked Susie's idea, I'm going to stick to it. It's objectively better. That being said, it's probably my least favorite set of Dark Worlds we've been in so far. Too many darkness puzzles. I hate not being able to see. This is just a me problem rather than the problem with the chapter, but it's my personal ranking, so I will dock a few points for that. The piano puzzles were also annoying because a lot of the time you're in complete darkness too, and in the times you aren't, everything around you just looks the same. Whereas all the previous chapters had all sorts of different sections with different environments. Gerson as a character is literally just the same old trope of an old mentor who teaches the hero about life, which is just so overdone in media at this point. But I do think it kinda works in Deltarune for Susie's character growth, so I don't really mind it that much. The newly introduced climbing mechanic is really cool. The fact that we get to fight a goddamn titan was hype. Low-key kinda sucks how easy that fight is, especially considering how a goddamn flower is harder to beat than something that's supposed to be unkillable or whatever. I think I'm going to rate it A, above chapter 3 though. I do prefer it over chapter 3. Chapter 5, definitely S tier. The question is where exactly? This one is a really good contender for the spot of number 1 alongside chapter 2. And for the longest time I wasn't sure which one I actually prefer. The answer? You will have to wait for it. I've seen a lot of discourse online where people hated this chapter for being filler and not progressing the plot significantly enough, while also not diving deep enough into the lore and not giving us any answers to anything we wanted to find out about. While it's true, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Considering how chapter 4 was filled to the brim with lore, it makes sense for things to slow down a bit, because you gotta keep a good balance in pacing a story. If things progress too fast, it will get overwhelming. If they progress too slow, you will create Life is Strange too. And I can make a whole detailed essay about why I hate Life is Strange franchise. We still don't know who the knight is, and Noelle still wasn't present in the Dark World, which deeply disappoints me. Look at that, she's gonna be in the Dark World in chapter 6. That's so cool. Too bad we're not gonna get a weird good in that chapter though. I do think that there should be at least something more relevant revealed in this chapter than just Asgore vague posting at one point. A lot of this chapter is just some funny gags and shit posting. I mean, the secret boss is literally an anime figurine, and the boss music is sung by Hatsune Miku. No, 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 no! You're joking! I was... no! I mean, I expected this, but I didn't think it was actually gonna happen. Because, like, the key was pink and it had ectoplasm on it, but I didn't think it was actually gonna be Mad Mew Mew. You are kidding me with this. You're not real. What? Why is Hatsune Miku singing now? What is going on? We really didn't find out much of anything in this chapter, and I can understand why that sucks for a lot of people, especially since we had to wait a whole year for it, as the adventure we got instead is just the best out of any of them. I love these flowers so much. This chapter is just the most brain fun I've had with this game. If I had to rate these chapters in terms of just gameplay alone, this one would win by a long shot. The platforming segments are phenomenal, like a completely different game. The level design is just perfect. The characters are some of the best we've gotten in this game. Spamton used to be my favorite, but now I actually think it might be Aqua. She's just so silly and whimsical. She's like Chris's younger sibling that they never had, and I just adore this character. Her interactions with Seth are just so funny every time. I love these two. I love seeing them interact, and all the other flowers are also charming in their own ways. The ending of this chapter is so bittersweet, I love it. Getting to say goodbye to every one of them because they can't come with us to Castletown. Hearing them say thank you for watching our dream before they turn back into the right world versions was such a bittersweet moment. It might even be my favorite moment in the whole game. Then getting to walk Susie home only to find out that she sees Castletown as her home is also just so bittersweet. Not to mention the OST. Every chapter's OST has some bangers, but this chapter takes the cake. So many songs are just so goddamn good. Flower man, with his heart in the sand, so he stands to watch the whole wide world from a can. I'm so sorry about that, I know I can't sing for shit. Point is, I can't get this fucking song out of my head. I've seen people complain about the difficulty in this chapter too. The final boss was actually unreasonably difficult, but I like this difficulty. The whole game up until chapter 5 was way too easy for me. I like getting to fight an enemy, die, memorize their attack patterns and do better next time. Unfortunately, aside from secret bosses, I haven't had the opportunity to do that in this game until the final boss of this chapter. But I do understand that the not optional battles should be easier for casuals. You know what would fix this entire problem with difficulty? A difficulty slider, which every game has, but for some goddamn reason it doesn't exist in Deltarune. And I imagine that adding it this late into development would be too difficult. I've read the patch notes though, and one of these things annoys me. Apparently this final boss just gets easier if you die too many times in a row, which is some bullshit. I don't want the game to take pity on me, I want to overcome these challenges by getting better, not by lowering the difficulty. Why couldn't they just give us a difficulty slider instead? Despite all the good stuff in this chapter, I just missed the cryptic shit that the previous chapters had to offer. And I don't mean the weird route. Speaking of which, chapter 2's weird route had actual gameplay. It was a whole path rather than just a set of cutscenes, which was really cool. Weird routes in future chapters are just sets of cutscenes. Granted, these cutscenes are fucking awesome, but I just wish the gameplay had more influence, similarly to chapter 2. I really can't say if chapter 5 is as good as 2. It's definitely better in terms of gameplay and replayability, but it's not just that alone that I'm judging here. Chapter 2 had some cool secret stuff that chapter 5 is lacking, and a lot of character development for Susie, Noelle and even Birdie. I know Susie and Noelle got more development in chapter 5 too, which just makes it even more difficult to judge. We did get Noelle in our party in battles in chapter 2, which was really cool. Unfortunately, we're just stuck with only Susie and Ralsei in all the other chapters. So I can't say for Centrine, but even after all this cool stuff, I don't think chapter 5 beats chapter 2 in my opinion. But it's a really close match. I love both chapters the most, but if I have to pick just one as the best one so far, I still think it would probably be chapter 2. So this is my final tier list so far. My opinions may change in the future, especially after chapters 6 and 7 get released. Once again, if you want to see my first unspoiled reactions to this game, I recommend watching the video on the left, or if you want to see my Undertale reactions, watch the one on the right. The one at the bottom will take you to a VOD from my livestream of chapter 5.